Being a big fan of the musical The Phantom of the Opera, I was so excited to see the Palais Garnier, as this opera house was the inspiration for the novel written by Gaston Leroux that the musical is based off of. The Palais Garnier was commissioned by Napoleon III because he wanted an opera house with a secure private entrance, as he had experienced an assassination attempt at the entrance of the Salle Le Pelletier Opera House. To find an architect for this new opera house, a contest was held. The winner was the 35-year-old Charles Garnier, who was an unknown. A requirement in the first round of the competition was to include a motto. Garnier's motto was a quote from Italian poet Torquato Tasso, "Speriamo se, poco spero." Hope for much, expect little. History would show that not only was much hoped for, but much was received, as this project set Garnier on the map and continues to be an iconic landmark in Paris. The architectural style is Napoleon III, as it mixes together the styles of Baroque, Renaissance, and Palladian. There is lore to how Garnier coined this new style as Napoleon III. Allegedly, Napoleon III's wife, Empress Eugenie, did not like Garnier's work, as she had wanted another architect to win the contest, as she allegedly said to Garnier something along the lines of, "What is this? This is no style. It's not Greek, nor is it Louis XIV. Why, it's Napoleon III. And you're complaining?" Garnier would work on this project from 1861 to 1875. Here's the crazy thing. After working on this for 14 years, Garnier was not invited to the opening day of the Opera House. He had to buy his own ticket. This is due to Napoleon III being exiled during the creation of the Opera House, and the new government led by President MacMahon wanted no association with the previous government. If you're going to the Opera House to learn about history, then I would recommend you either buy the audio guide, go on a tour, or learn a bit before visiting, like by watching and liking this video. Else, you're going to be wandering aimlessly, not fully understanding what you're looking at, which really detracts from fully appreciating the space. The grand staircase was inspired by the Grand Theatre de Bordeaux. The staircase is made of white marble with red and green marble details. The sculptures dramatically holding torches were crafted by French sculpturist Albert Ernest Carrier Bellouise. The painting above is by French painter Isidore Pils. When the canvases first went in, Garnier realized that the paintings were too dark and violent and intense. So Pils and his students had to make revisions to the canvases, and they did not complete it until the day before the grand opening. At the top of the staircase, you are greeted by tragedy holding a sword and comedy holding the harp. In the grand foyer, you might say to yourself that the paintings are reminiscent of the Sistine Chapel. Well, you would be correct, because it was painted by Paul Baudry, a painter highly inspired and enthralled by Renaissance painters like Raphael and Correggio. When Garnier commissioned him for this project, Baudry traveled back to Rome to study Michelangelo's Sistine Chapel. Baudry would spend 10 years on this project preparing and actually painting. While walking around, I was in complete awe of the beauty and magic that occurs when artisans come together with a unified vision, like a refined orchestra playing a symphony. Then, suddenly, a rogue musician starts playing an unplanned solo. That's what it's like when you see the ceiling painted by Marc Chagall, who was appointed by André Malraux, the Minister of Culture for France, to update the ceiling in the auditorium. This ceiling is highly controversial, as it doesn't fit the rest of the building's style, and some have gone as far as saying that it's a travesty. On its own, I like the painting. It's colorful and lively and has movement to it. But within the context of the opera house, I don't feel it really fits in with the rest of the building. This is not the original ceiling, though, because Chagall's painting debuted in 1964. The original was painted by Jules Eugene Lenvue, entitled The Muses and the Hours of the Day and Night, which was painted in a much more classical style. Lenvue's painting is still at the Palais Garnier, but you can't see it because it's literally underneath Chagall's painting. The auditorium is massive and can seat almost 2,000 people, while His Majesty's Theatre in London's West End, that's home to Andrew Lloyd Webber's The Phantom of the Opera, can only seat 1,200 people. In The Phantom of the Opera, the Phantom requests for Box 5 to be kept empty for him. Surprisingly, people did not crowd around this area for photos, as this was one of the main things I wanted to see at the Opera House.
The Phantom's in there!
You might recall in The Phantom of the Opera, the chandelier falls, which is based off of a real-life event in 1896 where the 7-ton chandelier fell and killed someone here.
I saw Phantom of the Opera recently in London at His Majesty's Theatre, and the actual opera house is way more opulent than the His Majesty's Theatre.
One thing I noticed in the crowd of tourists when I was there was that the Palais Garnier was treated as just a place to take really nice Instagram photos rather than a historical site. Okay, fine, I'm kind of a Gen Z hypocrite, but this brings up an interesting point on how human nature hasn't changed, because the opera was the place for those in high society and the upper middle class to, yes, support the arts, but also to go out and be seen. In today's modern age, the concept to be seen still remains at the Palais Garnier, but is slightly altered and democratized through the internet. Because to be seen today is both in that moment, in that physical space, and for eternity online. These days, the Palais Garnier puts on primarily ballets, as the Paris Opera moved over to the Opera Bastille in 1989. One day, when I return to Paris, I would like to see a show at the Palais Garnier and to be seen in a fancy outfit. Thank you for watching, and please like, comment, and subscribe, and have the most wonderful day ever.